right, so to spice up our little light puzzle, we're going to make it a little more interesting. So I'm going to remove this light puzzle piece from my scene. And I'm going to make a new object that is actually a child of the current light puzzle piece so that we can use the existing tools that are in that light puzzle piece, but we can also create some additional functionality. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take this light puzzle piece and I'm going to create a child blueprint class. One way, right click on it, go to create child blueprint class. Another way, I can just come to an empty space, create a blueprint, and then I can look for that one, right? So BP light puzzle piece. I'm going to make my child, it's going to be BP light puzzle piece complex. Just so I know it's a more complex version. We're going to open this up. Now that it's a child, it still has all of these pieces that came from the parent. If I go to my event graph, we have an option for on begin play is going to do what the parent did on begin play. So I'm going to make sure that that actually runs. So I will hook that up. When we begin our overlap, I want the same thing to happen as the parent begin overlap. So that's going to happen. I'm going to go to our event end overlap. And I'm going to make sure that parent one happens, right? So if I right click, I'm going to add a call to the parent function. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something different on my E key when they press that key. So if I right click here and I select my event key E, I'm going to make a slightly different change. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create variables that only exist in this child. And it's going to be my list of lights to change. It's going to be of type BP light puzzle piece. I want the object reference, and I want this to be an array. So I'm going to expose that array. When I press E, we're going to do a for each through all of these, and we're going to advance all of the ones that we're supposed to advance from this list, right? So instead of my next just calling on myself, right? Oh, next color. I'm going to go ahead and do a for each loop. And we're going to change all of the items in this list. So there's my array of items to change. Here's each item, loop body. What are we going to do for each one that comes out of there? We're going to call the next color. So what this does now is instead of just having our standard one, our simple light to change, which only changes itself, this is going to change all of the lights that are within this array. So the only issue is that when I put these into the world, so I save, I compile, I'm going to bring these out. So here's my complex light puzzle. Let me put 3 of these in the world. Actually, I'll set the colors first before I put multiples in the world. So I've got my first one in the world. I'm going to go through. I'm going to go to its general. We'll go to its default. A list of lights to change we're going to add once we get the chance to. But I'm going to change my light colors to be an array of different colors. So I'm going to give them 3 different colors that they can cycle between. So let's do a green. Let's do a blue. And I'll do a red. All right. So I've got a red, a blue, and a green. Turn my 3 colors. Current color is going to start at a different color than the goal. My goal is to get them all green. So my target is 0. It'll say the number here. But I'm going to start this one at 1. And then we're going to make duplicates of this. So I make sure I have it selected. I'm going to Control D to duplicate, and I'm going to drag these out so that they can be duplicated into the world. So now it's got all 3 of them in there. They're all 3 set up and in their locations. I'm going to set them to start on different numbers. So this one will start at number 1. This one will start at number 2. and this one will start at number 3. And then I'm going to change the values of which of these are going to interact, right? So I'm going to say this first one is going to change complex and complex 2. So going to my list of objects or lights to change, I can create 2 of them, one for complex and one for complex 2. My second light, right? Here's my second one. I'm going to want this one to change lights 2 and 3. So I'm going to do 2 here. So this is my light 2, and this is going to be my light 3. And then my third light, my third one that's on here, I'm just going to have this one only change itself. It's only going to change light 3. So now I've got those 3 items in there. I can hook them into my puzzle manager. So here's my puzzle manager. There's my exploding gnome that happens when I have victory. I'm going to also add my puzzle pieces. I'm going to add my 3 light puzzles so that they're the only ones that work. So light puzzle complex 2, light puzzle complex 3. And again, if I look at them, here's this light puzzle. It's going to start at 1, but I want it to be color 0. It's going to start at blue, but I want it to be green. This one's going to start at 2. It's going to start at 1, 2. It's going to start at red, but I want it to be green. This one, I can't start at 3. What was I thinking? I'm going to start at 1 again. It's going to start at blue, but I want it to be green. So all 3 of those, if they're green, they're in the success. If they're a different color, they're not successful. This one is going to change 2 of them. This one's going to change 2 of them. This one's going to only change the 1. So now if I press play, they're all connected. I walk up to my lights. They're different colors. I can interact with them, and you'll see this one change 2. That one's green. That's the color I want. But if I come over here, I can't change my first one. So I want to get to that one to green. But that one's now blue. So when I press it, they're going to change. Since those 2 are the same, it's just going to victory. But if I change them here the same, right? Oh, that one's green, but I need my third one green. Boom. Target's correct. Right? So think about how you'll provide feedback to let the player know which elements are going to be interactable, which elements are going to work. Make sure that you set up which ones they're going to be able to interact with. You can make these puzzles pretty complex. Make sure you test to make sure that your puzzle is completable, that it can be done, that it can be finished. And then realize that we can combine any of these puzzle pieces as long as they're a child of that BP puzzle piece. So I can come back. Here's my blue and yellow triggers. I'm going to go to my puzzle node here, and I'm going to add those too. So 2 more, right? I need my blue and my yellow. Right? So now it's not enough just to do the lights. I also have to push my chairs to the right location in order for that to work. So if I press play, I come over. If I go ahead and fix my colors here, so you're going to go 1 here, gets that one green. We're going to go till that's green. These are the same color. Nope, they're all green. Push my chair in. Hopefully, I think you fell out. I think you went too far. I pushed too hard. Just a little too strong here. You can change this ease of use by using a block, which is easier than a chair, and by creating the different mass for the objects. Heavier objects don't get pushed as far, so they're a little easier to control. We saw that when that one crossed, boom, it blew up. So there we go. What's the last thing? Oh, I forgot to do. I'm going to do one last thing that's purely cosmetic. It's not new information. I'm going to go back to my puzzle controller, my puzzle manager, right? And I'm just going to set up that, yeah, it's going to change my viewpoint, right? So I'm going to add an object here, which is my view target for victory. It's going to be of type actor. Here's my object reference. I'm going to expose it. I'm going to put my delay time. So victory delay as a variable. So I'll make that a float. I'll expose it. And then we're going to say on victory, instead of just blowing them all up, let's move that down. And the first thing we're going to do for our victory is we're going to set our view target. So let me get player controller 0. And so we're going to set view target with blend. So that's our plan here. Change our view target to our victory. Start them blowing up, but as we start them blowing up, we're going to do our delay. How long do we delay? Well, that's our victory delay. We're going to set our view target with blend back to where we started. Get my player controller. We're going to set my player controller's view target with blend. What is the new view target? What is the view target that we're going to set it to? Well, we're going to want to store that, you know, before we change our view target. So I'm going to create a variable here that is going to be, I only want to create one. And I'm going to create a variable here that is also going to be an actor, which is not going to be exposed because we don't need our designers to see it. And this is going to be our starting view target. So when we do our victory, we're going to set the starting view target. So here's our victory. Set our starting view target. To set it, we're going to get the view target from our player controller. Right? So at start, anytime we do victory, sets the view target to what it currently was before we did victory. It tells us to do our blend, right? I'm going to make our blend last 1 second. It's going to go through and blow everything up. So I'm going to make sure I delay for that 1 second before everything blows up. So I have to make sure I look over there. I'm actually going to make it 1.2 because we remember that idea that if we have 0.2, we notice that something is ended. So we're going to do the blend, then we're going to notice the blend is over, then they're going to blow up. Then we're going to set our view target back, right, to the view target of our start. And of course there, as that's going back, that's going to be 1.2 seconds. Or sorry, 1 second blend, so that we will delay 1.2 seconds. And the step I forgot, and I'm going to have to insert there, is we're just going to be setting our cinematic mode. So I'm going to need to get my player controller again. And we will set our cinematic mode. False. We are going to hide the player, affect the HUD, turn off movement and turning. I'm going to copy that so I don't have to worry about finding them again. So here we go. On victory, we save our view target. We're going to change to cinematic mode. All right, so here's our set cinematic mode. All right, so I'll walk through our victory here, right? Victory, set our view target, right? So we're getting our player controller, right? I'm sure I could have used that same hookup. That'll make this a little easier here. It may be harder to read, but it's fewer boxes. So on victory, we set our view target to the view target of our player controller. Then we're going to set cinematic mode. The cinematic mode for our player target is going to be set, is cinematic mode true? We're hiding the player, we're turning off the HUD, we're dealing with movement and turning. Then we're going to set the view target of that player controller to a new view target that we're going to change to. So that's our view target for victory. That's where we're going to set our view target to. We're going to delay. We're going to wait while that blend happens. Then we're going to go through all of our victory interactions. We're going to make them all do their interact. If you wanted to delay between each one, we could put another delay that'll have it work. After we've completed, so this does not come here, after we've completed and we've made everything blow up, then we're going to wait for our victory delay, for how long we wait for all of those to do their job, to do what they need to do. And then I'm going to set my view target of my player to the new view target, or back to my starting view target. It'll take 1 second. I'm going to wait 1.2 seconds so that we have time to watch, turn my cinematic mode off. So that is a lot of things there. I should break this up into, like, set view target, reset view target, all of those different items so that we can use macros to make it easier to read. But I'm just putting this in for cosmetics. We will need to set the values that are needed for that. So I'm going to grab my puzzle manager. I'm going to make sure everything's set, all 5 puzzle pieces. My victory interaction is my 1 item. My view target is going to be that camera. My victory delay, I'm going to wait for, I don't know, how about 2.5 seconds while they blow up. I will press play. Now we're going to go through and we'll do our puzzles. So I'm going to start by pushing my chair. Nice easy chair to push. Make sure I'm in the light. There we go. Push my yellow in the light. So what I could do is that when I set my success, I could play a sound to give feedback that says, oh, hey, you got that successful. You're going to find that's really valuable to do. I'm going to set these once. Set this one more. So that this one just needs to be set. Oh, they all need to be green. There we go. View target, blow up. Return my view target, and I can move. So there we go. There's our cool little puzzles that we've set up. Think about how you can combine these to come up with new puzzles. What other kind of puzzles have you seen in games? So we saw that when I pushed the button, so when I interact with these, I change the light color. You could rotate the object, right? And instead of a array of colors, you could have an array of rotations that they rotate to. So that, the first one rotates to 10 degrees. The second one is 30 degrees. The next one is, 50 degrees. And it rotates all the way around. And your success is when you're at the proper rotation. And now you have one of those rotate puzzles where you have to rotate objects to line up correctly. Instead of changing the light or doing a rotation, an object could move up and down. And as it moves up or it moves down, to a new location, you could line up objects so that they have to line up like a slot machine has to get 3 in a row. So think about all of the cool puzzles that you can make using the techniques that we have. I look forward to seeing what you can come up with as we continue to work.